Happy New Year to the Shove-It Squad. I hope you're all treated well and got everything that your heart desired. PS5 Pros, iPads, Dyson Airwraps for the ladies, and for the hawk a sack of diarrhea bird turd covered in rabies. NWA Samhain was one of the most controversial pay-per-views in the modern era. In an era that no risks are taken, Billy Corgan just said screw it and held the wackiest of wackiest wrestling events in 2024. This does pose an interesting question though, which I'm going to ask you all about at the end of this video. But unfortunately, this risk-taking was a poor decision because it came at a time when the NWA was about to get a TV deal with the CW network. But following on from Samhain 1 and an ill-advised Father James Mitchell partying spot, they lost their chance of getting a TV deal and they were instead shoved on the app. NWA owner Billy Corgan has since denied that the pay-per-view was the reason they got shoved on the app. Since then, it hasn't really worked out for them and they're no longer on the CW app and instead they're just on X, which is just random as hell. As a way to save money, Samhain 2 was instead turned into 5 episodes of NWA Power. And that wasn't the only bad news, because just the other day, Jax Dane passed away, and he'd been a big part of the NWA programming over recent years. In terms of positives, the NWA still exists somehow. And they actually still have some wrestlers tied down to exclusive contracts. And they've made 1 or 2 interesting signings lately. So let us get on to Samhain 2, which I guess isn't really a pay-per-view, but it was meant to be one. This one takes place in Tampa, Florida. So how does this show start? With Father James Mitchell bragging about all the trouble they got in on the last Samhain. He promises that tonight will be the most controversial wrestling pay-per-view in history. Great, I can't see what they serve up. The crackhead commentator makes a return from the last Samhain. He really helps add to the wackiness of the show. We open up this one with a 6-man tag, which will see a hillbilly tag team take on, I guess, the Nasty Boys 2.0. They're going to be called the Slime Balls. The commentary team desperately try to shill us their t-shirt. It ain't happening. Randomly they team up with Jay Bradley. He doesn't have a hat anymore, but he probably should with that haircut. It quickly gets wacky with one of the Slime Balls trying to help Jay Bradley do an aeroplane spin. Then the match is randomly interrupted by Bold Boy Billy Corgan and some depressed NWA stars trying to sell us an NWA event. The way this promo ends is strange. Either this was some sort of in-joke that the Hawk isn't aware of, or the production team screwed up.
Hot, you're hot, and when you're not...
When you're hot, you're not. Definitely in terms of this product. Man, how old is one of the hillbilly team? They get a branding iron and the match basically stops until the other hillbillies save their granddad. This granddad is hilarious, he can barely move. He can't avoid getting the ropes kicked into his nutsack, even though he had 10 seconds to get out of the way of it. Randomly, a big guy who looks like Bam Bam Bigelow just starts waddling around the ring and wrestling like he's part of the match. He is apparently related to the other Slime Balls. There's a lot of balls in this match. Maybe they're going to be managed by Balls Mahoney. They're not. The granddad randomly smacks one of the Slime Balls with a belt buckle punch and that's how the match ends. What I will say is that the moves all look like they hurt. It did kind of feel like something from EC3. They try to sell us more NWA merch. One of them is a lunchbox. Don't do it. Kids, you'll get bullied. You probably won't get your lunch stolen though, as nobody would want an NWA lunchbox. From that, to a women's triple threat for the number 1 contendership. Unlike the last match, these girls actually look like professional wrestlers. It's Natalie Markova versus Kylie Page versus Haley J. I don't think she's Eminem's daughter though. They must really love fishnets in this company. The cameraman knows his job and keeps desperately zooming in on their asses. Kylie Page is in an interesting predicament here because her sister is the champion, so she's going to have to face her sister if she wins this match. She dominates for a while before Haley drags her out of the ring and she beheads Markova from behind. Paige kicks her head off. It's going well until Paige botches a Shining Wizard, which the commentary team call awkward. Haley J backstabbers her. We also get a decent tower spot. They repeat the Shining Wizard spot and it goes better this time. Markova does a missile dropkick where she takes forever to launch, and she pins Kylie Page with that. Seems like a strange choice to have her eliminated first when she'd be facing her sister if she wins this match, but it's elimination rules so the match continues. Markova almost wins straight away with a facebuster. Moments later, Haley J flies with a dodge like a mockingbird and does her own Shining Wizard for a 2. She also does a curb stomp, but she freezes in fear when Markova just keeps getting up. So she just does another stomp for the 3. Haley J is stepping out of her dad's shadow and will challenge for the title. She only has 1 shot and 1 shot to make it out the ghetto of the NWA. Suddenly, a man called Silas Mason cuts a brilliant promo sounding straight out of the 80s. He sounds intense, believable, and just like he hangs out with James Mitchell after the show. I'm actually enjoying this so far. Next up, a tag match for the number 1 contendership. Daisy Kill and Talos. Wow, how tall is that guy? He's billed at 7 foot. And it's not the worst physique for a giant I've ever seen. They take on Odinson and Kratos. I think they're feuding over a ukulele or something. Odinson is hit with the ukulele, and the big dude wins with the chokeslam. Not much to see here. How could they include a ukulele and not even use it properly? Somebody call Slapnuts to show him how it's done. He wouldn't stand for this. The next match will be an emo kid, Lev, taking on another emo kid called Alex Misery. This feels pretty indie-rific. It turns out that Alex Misery can actually move pretty well. He's all fired up after kicking his opponent out of the ring. This leads to Gags the Gimp, who's still a thing for some reason, causing a distraction. Somebody else interferes with a kendo stick and the ref has to act confused like he didn't know the interference didn't happen. He also attacks Lev with the stick and then the ref throws the match out. Then he hits Gags the Gimp. What the hell is going on? This guy is apparently unhappy about some match he was involved with in the past, but no other context is given here, so this one sucks on Isiaki's ass. A tag match now between Colby Carino and Brian Idol and Silas Mason and Kerry Morton. We've got some generational wrestlers in this one. It's pretty boring, unfortunately. The highlight is Colby Carino hitting a swanton bomb, but it doesn't end the match. Dude, I was watching NWA Samhain 2 the other day, man. And this dude, Steve Carino Jr., he stole my swanton bomb finishing maneuver, man. But it didn't finish. Man, I'm going back to North Carolina, and I'm going to tell my stoner friend Shannon all about you, Carino Jr., man. Instead, they do some overly complicated catapult spot into a kick, and there's confusion over the pin being in the ropes. They throw super kicks like the Young Bucks, and we get a chance to look at our massive audience for the night. All I can say is, wow. Almost every indie event I've ever been to has bigger crowds than this. Carino beats Kerry Morton with a wacky finisher. Colby somehow looks 20 and 80 at the same time. NWA brag about acquiring some new wrestling territories in Texas. I'm surprised how much this company is able to get around the states still. We'll wonder who's paying for the wrestlers' travel. A Hella Weights match is next. Carson Drake is a man with a rich boy gimmick. Props to this guy, he really does suit this. He looks straight out of one of those annoying programs your girlfriend would watch. His initials are CBD, so it's not just a rich boy gimmick. Speaking of drugs, he takes on Max the Impaler with Father James Mitchell. Max is called the Non-Binary Nightmare. This one's for the TV title belonging to Max. Drake uses a chair which Max no-sells. He sets the chair down and tries to leave when James Mitchell throws a suspicious white powder all over him. Max slams him into the chair. Max now rips apart a Christmas tree and starts using it as a weapon. The Christmas tree lights are still attached and they get in the way. This match is giving me joy. Carson tries to staple Max to no effect. Max staples a dollar bill to his mouth, shades of New Jack. Carson Drake moves on to start opening presents. This would be great product placement as apparently one of the presents is an NWA lunchbox, but you can't see it so it fails. Max puts a pumpkin on his head and they smash that pumpkin. Billy Corgan on commentary asks if that was a shot at him. Yes, because your head looks like a giant round ugly pumpkin. Max sets up a table in the corner and does a spear into the table. It doesn't break. Instead, Max throws the opponent through it and now it breaks. No pin is made, instead Max finds a present. There's nasty bruises on Carson's back at this point. The present contains a steel chair. This gets zero reaction from the crowd because it's a very boring and uncreative weapon choice as a wrapped gift. Carson throws Max into the chair legs. Then the match just randomly ends when James Mitchell accidentally distracts his own person and Carson rolls up Max. This match was bad, but at least it wasn't boring. I had a few chuckles, and if that was the point in the match, then it worked. Max and James Mitchell do a breakup angle, so now James Mitchell will probably bring in some other monsters to beat up the New Abyss. The women's tag titles are on the line next. The challengers are Caribbean Flow. I can get down with these girls. La Rosa Negra and Rufy J, which sounds like something someone would slip in someone's drink. Their music is incredibly unfitting, it's horrible techno music. How can you not just get some Caribbean music for them? The champions are Ella Envy and Miss Star, the It Girls. Seriously, were all the ladies on this show invited out to catch some shrimp after the event? The NWA would slay. Billy Corgan informs us that Rufy J is currently on a bulk. Not sure how much he knows about the gym, but words of advice, Shove It Squad. Don't ever say that as a chat-up line at the gym. It will be deemed as an insult. Star looks drunk, but I think she's trying to sell that she has a bad neck. They hide on the outside forever, only to return to the ring and then hide outside again. The crowd look a mixture of annoyed and bored. Look at all the empty seats. There's only 50 people in here and there's still empty seats. Not a good look, NWA. The Caribbean girls do something in the corner and the commentary team ask what the hell that was. Maybe they're calling some spots? I don't really know what was going on. Miss Star runs around a bit like Velvet Sky. She gets a flapjack. I can't believe La Rosa Negra is 43 years old. She's definitely been sipping from the fountain of youth. She does a back suplex which causes the It Girls to hide on the outside for the third time. That leads to cheating from Ms. Star and a boob slam. Ella Envy does a stink face because what upcoming women's wrestler shouldn't do the stink face? Rufy J gets the tag and does a slow motion strike combo. Ms. Star responds with the scissor stomp, shade of Madison Rain. For the third or the fourth time on this show, the commentary team say this match hasn't been pretty. Way to sell your own product, guys. Ms. Star removes her net brace. She hits a Samoan drop, which I am just not okay with. Samoan drop should just be saved for Samoans and fat guys, and Ms. Star is neither. Ella gets tagged back in and starts slapping her ass. This division really feels like the TNA knockouts in 2010. I kinda like it. Rufy J tags out after a cutter. Rosa Negra gets a 2-off for Northern Lights and hits a snap slam. She can't win because Ella Envy shoves her. Ms. Star hits a DDT and she tags out so Ella Envy can get the free. That was weird. I'm so used to people doing extra moves to finish people off, and when they don't do it, it just doesn't feel right. But I guess it's not really necessary, is it? The National Heavyweight title is on the line now, and the challenger is randomly Pirate Paul Burchill. I guess it's no gimmicks needed nowadays. The champion is big, strong Mims. I have to get serious now because there's certainly nothing to laugh about here. I think Paul Burchill uses a crossface as a finisher nowadays, but his first attempt is too near the ropes. Mims shoves him into the ring pole on the outside. These are two big boys throwing some big clotheslines. Mims' manager causes a distraction so he can hit a belly to belly. The Hawk thought it was over, but it's not. A chair is slid into the ring. That distracts the referee, who doesn't see the manager hit Burchill with a gold plate, and Mims hits the spear for the 3. No, it's just a 2 actually. Burchill screams, "Come on, give me more," so Mims just simply does a Uranagi for the 3. Wow, Burchill sucks now. What happened to him? He looks like the blandest of bland and could barely hit a move. You wouldn't know this guy had been in the WWE from his performance here. Kenzie Page, the women's champion, tries to convince us how busy her life is as the NWA women's champion. We're not buying that. A tag team match will now see Magic Jake Dumbass and Zion take on Baron Von Storm, formerly Tim Storm, and Jax Dane, who just passed away not long after this event actually. Shows how quickly things can change. 1 week he's on Samhain 2, and the next he's no longer with us. Some of you may not remember this guy, but Jax Dane also had a blink and you miss it run in TNA with Crimson. Anyway, apparently the Claw is banned for this match, which is bad news for Tim Storm. Wow, he let himself go. He is old, you know, but the days of his £10 a gold feud with Nick Aldis feels like a very long time ago. Jake Dumbass seems like a very big fan of the bad guy, Razor Ramon. He keeps stealing his taunts, except he's not a bad guy because he's scared of Jax Dane. He suplexes the Dumbass back into the ring, and another suplex across the ring. Baron Storm is in now. He keeps wanting to do the claw, but he's not allowed. He's doing a brain damage gimmick or something. Storm slams Dumbass and wants to claw again. His partner stops him by tagging his hand. Moments later it all happens again, and Dane tags himself back in once again. Why keep tagging him in the first place? The heels cheat, and for the second time in the night, somebody misses a moonsault. Jax Dane powers over the heels with a double suplex, and the Baron is back in. He crushes the heels, meatheads together, and does a net breaker for a 2. Then he remembers the claw again. Austin Idol distracts him as Jack Dane clotheslines Dumbass, and that's the 3. So Austin Idol cost his team. Man, the managers suck at Samhain. Tim Storm puts the claw on because the match is now over and he's allowed. He laughs and goes nuts like he's Psycho Sid. Jax Dane puts a towel over his head which calms him down. Wow, so they're stealing from the dog in WCW. What a gimmick to steal from. And that, my friends, was sadly the final match of Jax Dane before he passed away from a heart attack at the age of 48. The women's title will be on the line next. The challenger is Tiffany Neves. She's a very determined looking chick. It's another example of someone who seems too well presented to be on this show. The champion is Kenzie Page, who makes the boys rage. Since the NWA has lost most of their names, Kenzie Page has become one of the faces of the promotion nowadays. It probably helps that she's running her own NWA promotion, and she's also been the champion for over a year. Kenzie hits the first big move with a head scissors. Princessa blocks the next move and hits a diving middle rope smack. Kenzie tries another head scissors, which doesn't work. This time she gets a spinning side slam. Kenzie does a small package and gets slapped for it. This fires her up. I'd just grab her bull ring for her nose if I was Tiffany. Neves hits a nice cab driver slam, but it's not over. She locks on the cloverleaf for a while. Kenzie makes the ropes, but for some reason she isn't forced to release the hold and ties Kenzie back up like a pretzel. Kenzie once again makes the ropes, and this time the hold is released. Paige carries on losing as she's thrown into the ring pole. Randomly, Tiffany attacks a wrestling student in the crowd. This goes on for a while with Natalie Markova making the save. Royden Grace Jr. slaps her. Kenzie Page tries to kick Markova, but she misses it and it looks horrible. They come back to the ring where pins are traded until Kenzie hits the Kenzie Cutter for the 3. I have to say I was not impressed with Kenzie Page here. She's supposed to pretty much be the face of this promotion, but she hardly did a thing. And she only won because her opponent was a dumbass. Oh no. Next out, it's the Heavenly Butterflies. Not sure if this is supposed to be serious or not. Think they're doing an interview? The announcer says he doesn't know who they are and they shouldn't be here. The main Butterfly says they just had a no-holds-barred match at another NWA event, but now he's tired and hurt. But he still wants a match because they're feeling so powerful. The green guy demands a match or he won't stop talking. Straight away, out walks the Temple of Dumb. They have this overly edited entrance with dramatic Indiana Jones music, and it turns out that's exactly what this gimmick is supposed to be, and the other guy is some sort of wrestler he discovered on his travels. He must have looked deep in the depths of his toilet for this turd. That is one big bastard. Suddenly it gets awesome. He introduces himself as professional wrestling's only action hero, Stone Rockwell. The crowd are in silence, and the big guy is called Beast Man. He starts screaming some unknown language and Rockwell says, "Let's catch a butterfly." Rockwell hits a backbreaker and does a comical pose. He tags the Beast Man by slapping him in the face. The Beast Man does a running crossbody. There's some sort of magical bone here which he's interested in, I don't know. The butterfly is swatted out of the air. The Beast and Rockwell keep going to squash the butterflies in the corner. He hits a senton too. The Beast looks exhausted. Man, he looks like haystacks. The finish is the Beast falling backwards with Rockwell on his back. It then cuts to the film production style with the dramatic music again. They are the Temple of Dumb. I can honestly say I think I loved this so much. This was one of the greatest things in wrestling. It really brought a tear to my ass seeing an old school wacky gimmick again. More of the same please, NWA. Unfortunately, we don't get more of the same. Instead, it's a junior heavyweight title match. Soon I'll be eating those words. The challenger is Jack Cartwheel taking on champion Alex Taylor. Is it just me, or do lots of people on this roster look too similar? I feel like I've seen this guy 4 times already. And Jack Cartwheel needs bigger trunks. Cartwheel at least lives up to his name. He loves cartwheeling. This will be a high work rate match of the show. Jack does a cartwheel over the stairs, but his dive is caught and he's squashed into the stairs. Alex Taylor controls the match with a turtle wheel backbreaker. Cartwheel dodges a chair in the corner and hits a cartwheel Death Valley driver. Some more nice athletics leads to a net breaker followed up by a dropkick. He does a nice cartwheel back elbow in the corner and a suplex. This kid is actually quite fun to watch. He gets a 2 off a standing shooting star. Cartwheel dodges a slam from the corner by doing a cartwheel on the ropes. He attempts a cross arm breaker which doesn't work as he's picked up and buckle bombed. Alex Taylor puts him away of the moneymaker. Wait, no, that's just a 2. Kid Cash is going to be dumping in his nappy after that one. Taylor chokes him out with the tag ropes, not seen that before. He ends up hanging him up in the corner. He wants to pinata him with the chair, which Jack Cartwheel manages to escape. Jack does a crazy cartwheel flip out the corner. He follows that with a shooting star into the ring, which I think caught more knees than he wanted to. Taylor is able to break the pin though, so Cartwheel tries to suplex Taylor back into the ring, but he gets cutted across the ropes. He's not too hurt because he manages to land on his feet from a German, but don't get too excited as he smashes into the chair in the corner. I like how they set that up a long time earlier into this match. I forgot that chair was there. Taylor puts him away with the green whistle. Wow, I don't normally really like this sort of match, but it was the only match on the show like this, and it made it feel like so much more. When every match on the card is full of this stuff, it loses its meaning. But this match the crowd adored, and so did I. They did flippy stuff, but it all meant something, and it had a purpose. Cartwheel did an excellent job with his facial expressions, and he worked the crowd so well. The moves all looked cool, and I was impressed, and I wouldn't normally do this, but I actually sent Jack a message after watching this just to let him know what I thought. This guy has some good potential. Alex did well too, but I would like him to change his look a bit to stand out more. This match was a pleasant surprise. We now get a tribute to Jax Dane. I didn't realise this, but he actually held the heavyweight belt for 419 days. This was a really nice tribute, which they must have had to have added in post-production. The show starts building to the main event now. They actually have a really nice video package. It was well edited and it got me hyped for the main event, but we're not quite on that yet. The tag belts are on the line first. Doom 2.0 managed by Damien Sandow. The more toned version of Doom 2.0 is actually Rodney Mack. Who remembers him? The champions are Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox, and they have a little person with them for some reason. But I don't think it's meant to be funny. He looks like a tough guy. The gimmick with this match is that he will be held in a shark cage. I guess he's been interfering in a lot of matches. Damien Sandow will not be locked in the cage with him. Probably a good thing, because he wouldn't fit in that cage from the look of it. I just realised this is actually a rematch from the last Samhain show. Doom 2.0 won that last time. It was alright. But this match is not alright. To call this match a mess is an understatement. Bear with me whilst I try and make it through the finish of this one. Murdoch has the match won with a diving bulldog when Damien Sandow interferes with a shut up or a smacky one right in front of the referee. He does nothing because it's no DQ. A small man called Rolando tries to get the shark cage key off the ref. An MMA fighter slams the ref into the cage and steals the key. He has trouble locating the key and he desperately screams, "Where is it?" Then he finds the key but still struggles to open the padlock. The two small men fight inside the shark cage whilst the MMA fighter stands guard. Then a morbidly obese man smacks him out. Rolando hits him in the tits to no effect. The two small men climb into the ring. Small slams Rolando and he hits a springboard moonsault. The fat guy also climbs to the middle rope and he hits a sort of moonsault. Knox gorilla press slams Smalls out of the ring onto a wacky collection of characters. And Mike Knox and Murdoch win with a high-low. They grab Sandow. I'm pretty sure that's a cage for budgies. Sandow is locked in the cage and he screams and shakes comically. They tip a drink over him and everybody's happy, I guess, especially when they push the cage over. An EC3 promo now. He's no longer the heavyweight champion. He's doing a Roman gladiator gimmick. He says he only lost the title because he forced his opponent to become better than him. He doesn't think his opponent is a locker room leader and he doubts his credentials to lead this company. Yeah, EC3, like you've done any better. So, what actually happened here? EC3 was going through a midlife crisis after his time in the WWE came to an end. He tried to control his narrative for a bit, but when that didn't work, he signed with the NWA in 2022. He captured the heavyweight title in August 2023 from Tyrus the Virus. A new era of NWA was beginning, and he would be the man to revitalise this company and hopefully add some prestige, just like Nick Aldis did years earlier. Except, it hasn't really gone that way. Because after 370 days of being champion, nothing has really changed. The company was not being spotlighted and no one was talking about EC3 as champion. And for the record, the Hawk is a fan of EC3, but this just has not worked out. I don't actually think all the blame can be placed on him though. Aldis had a hot storyline coming into his reign and the company had some momentum. EC3 joined at a bad time and they really haven't thrown any promotion behind him. You would hardly know he was the champion, but when Aldis was champion it was all over the internet. So EC3 dropped the title to Tom Latimer, formerly known as Bram. You can't help but wonder, why didn't EC3 just go back to TNA in the first place instead of doing this? Well, apparently the reason is EC3 is now forming a cult. I have to say, EC3 is looking much healthier nowadays. His nickname is now the Overman, because he's over, man. Not sure about that, and also not sure about Bram as champion. Look, this Bram has always had a great look. I'm not going to judge him because I haven't watched his title reign. It would be unfair for me to really comment on it. All I can tell you is what I see in this match. EC3 spears him before the bell has a chance to ring. The bell does ring and he starts throwing Bram with German suplexes. He hits the 1%er but Bram kicks out. EC3 is in shock. Ethan hits a TKO for another 2. Bram finally recovers and hits a DDT for the first offensive move of the match for him. The match slows to a snail's pace. It's seriously difficult to get behind Bram as a babyface, he just is not likeable. He hits a nice back suplex and desperately beats his chest. A flapjack follows and a spinning heel kick. For the 7th time of the night, a moonsault is missed, although to be fair, I had no idea Bram was even capable of doing one. EC3 crushes him with a neckbreaker. Bram comes back with a spear, both guys are exhausted. They fight up with punches for a while until EC3 sweeps him out. Bram fights off another 1%er and hits a pop-up powerbomb. They collapse out of the ring where Bram hits a brutal piledriver on a stage. He's about to put away EC3 when a strange masked man smacks him out. The masked morons also take out the referee. There's like 6 of them. Apparently this is EC3's new cult. They beat down Bram whilst EC3 just sits there. The match just ends without a winner. May I remind you, this was EC3's rematch. He isn't the champion, so he just screwed himself over. Look, EC3's issue is that he doesn't have any idea what he actually wants to be. It's like they asked him how many gimmicks he wants and he just said yes. He's a gladiator. He's controlling his narrative. He's an honourable champion. He's Dixie Carter's nephew. And now he's a cult leader. It's just too much and people don't have a clue what they're supposed to be getting behind and then it all changes again. Stick to one thing for a while. He's a great wrestler when his head is in the right place. This is probably some sort of crossover with OVW Wrestling, as he's the champion of that company. Although, at least there's a storyline as something to hopefully build intrigue. And that was Samhain 2, my friends. It wasn't as crazy as last time, but it was still very carny-ish. The wrestling standards are much lower here, and the matches are far shorter. I will give props for trying to do stuff though. I will also give props for the women's division and the Jack Cartwheel match. But sometimes the show is just too wacky and strange. So many of the wrestlers look fresh off the indies. So many of the matches have interference, and I just can't get behind Bram as a champion. But who else can they push on this roster? Nobody is really jumping out at me. Overall, I will say that I enjoyed my watch. It's nice to see a different type of wrestling being attempted. I think it's quite brave to do this, and I'm aware I've been shitting on most of this stuff, but I still think it's brave. But going back to the start of this video, my question for all of you. Should wrestling companies take more risks? If it wasn't for the stuff done in the past, the Hawk would not be here. None of your favourite YouTubers would be here. There would be nothing for us to talk about. Some of our favourite moments in wrestling history came about due to somebody taking a risk. Someone trying something new. Someone trying to be different. Yeah, it doesn't always come off, but the storyline and fallout is always worth hearing about. Maybe that's missing nowadays. Maybe companies are afraid. You can't tell me NWA isn't at least trying to be different. I smiled quite a few times whilst making this video, and that's not something I can usually say. Yes, the in-ring product is terrible compared to the main companies, but sometimes I miss the carny stuff, the characters, the matches where moves mean more. Just put this show back on YouTube, NWA. Learn from your mistakes. Your hottest period was with Nick Aldis on YouTube, and try to find one more heavyweight star to shake things up. Rest in peace, Jax Dane. And if you don't agree with that, you're insane.